Hi, this is Bob Papa, voice of the New York Football Giants, and this is the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast.
Welcome back, Giants fans. Good evening to the latest edition of the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast, as always in association with Andy's Man Club. Let's remember it is okay to talk. This time we are 100% British, but absolutely, as always, still 100% Giants. I'm back from a holiday. It was a very nice week on a boat in Norway. And it was actually quite warm, believe it or not, in Norway, which was strange. I'm alongside Shane, and producer Craig is unfortunately unable to make it tonight. And unfortunately, Kev had to pull out last minute due to a family bereavement. So sending loads of love out to him and his family this evening. So joining us as a last minute guest, sacrificing Norwich versus Leeds in the Championship playoff semi-final this evening. As a regular viewer and returning guest, Jamie, welcome back, mate.
Right.
Yeah, all good. Tonight we're breaking down the Giants 2024 schedule, which was released over the course of yesterday, sort of in dribs and drabs, as it is. Guten Abend to you, Steve.
Translation, please. Like German? I ain't got a clue with German. Is it Guten Tag? That's the only word I might know.
Guten Tag.
I think I might get us cancelled, so I ain't even going to go into that one.
Guten Tag, good day. Guten Abend. I'm fairly sure it's good afternoon. So it's not quite afternoon, but I suppose it is afternoon. It's after 12 o'clock, so we'll let him off. So obviously it was released in sort of dribs and drabs over yesterday. And with some, like I said, some very exciting news for us fans over here in Europe. We'll also be chatting about the latest Giants news as well, including more about the commemoration of the 100th season of the team, and as is in Jamie's background there. So nice little logo. So stay tuned for that. So Shane, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I tell you what, I'm back to this producing malarkey, aren't I? Now I've got to start making graphics good. I've got to listen to the conversation you're having, comment, stay on top of it. I mean, I don't know if I'm up to the task, especially when we've got so much stuff to cover, as people can see on the left-hand side with the news and the logo and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, looking forward to getting into it. And massive thanks to Jamie jumping on as well tonight. Been a while since we've had him on, and we always love to get the listeners on and get him involved. So look forward to hearing his thoughts on certain things tonight, and anyone else who's listening live, put bang comments in, we'll put things up, questions, etc. More that get involved, the merrier.
Absolutely, man. There is a lot going on, a lot to cover this week, so we'll try and get through it as quickly as we can and not harp on for too long, because there's only so much you can take of our voices on a Thursday evening at 8:30. Jamie, how you doing, mate? Good to have you back.
Good, thank you, guys. Yeah, it's nice to be back, actually. Like you say, it's been an eventful off-season so far, so plenty to talk about. And let's get the Giants community talking.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like Shane said, get his thoughts, those questions, get them in the comments. We'll do any questions. We'll do our best to get them answered, and it'll be good to sort of hear what you all think of the schedule and everything else we're going to be talking about as well. Don't forget, check out our social platforms by following the links in the description. Feel free to like and share this video as well if you're watching, because we appreciate all the love. Before we get into the schedule, though, which is the main event of this week, as you can see on the left-hand side, if you are watching, there's plenty of news to get into. So Shane, we're going to start off with you. Over to you, buddy.
Yeah, so over the last week, the Giants have officially signed a number of their undrafted free agents and a rookie class, and also adding a veteran receiver. So the veteran is a player who played for apparently a really good college. Don't know if you guys know anything about Penn State, but yeah, apparently a really good college. Jags, Bears, Rams, and Steelers. Former wide receiver Allen Robinson. 10-year career. He's had 562 receptions for just over 7,000 yards and 43 touchdowns. Now he's going to give the young wide receiver room some veteran knowledge. I mean, if you look, the vet in that room at the minute would have been Darius Slayton, who's kind of going into year 5 or year 6, I think it is, but still relatively young. Obviously, we've lost Sterling Shepard, so we're kind of lacking that veteran presence in the wide receiver room. So, he might have a shot to earn a spot on the roster, albeit more than likely at the bottom end of the depth chart. He signed a 1-year deal worth 1.3 million vet minimum deal, 25,000 signing bonus guaranteed. I mean, he's just made the reads these numbers and thinks, wow, like just casually signing a 1.3 minimum deal, like not even maximum, like that's the minimum, like, and then you get
pennies.
Oh, for writing your name on that document, here's 25 grand for you, like, oh, unbelievable. And then he can also earn 75,000 if he's active for any game this season. I mean, like
75k.
What?
75 grand just for putting a uniform on.
Yeah. Oh, this uniform we're paying you to wear. If you're active, we're going to give you another 75 grand on top. Like,
happy days.
Mental. But if we look at the
Crazy
rookie. Malik Neighbours, Tyrone Tracy, Andrew Phillips, and Darius Mosau have signed their first NFL contracts. Neighbours has signed a 29.2 million 4-year fully guaranteed contract with the optional 5th year. His cap hit for this season is going to be 5.3 million. Tracy's contract is 4 years as well, with the total value being 4.3 million. Andrew Phillips gets another 4 years with a total of 5.9 million, and Musau's is 4 years. The numbers on that one, though, are to be confirmed. A chunk of the Giants undrafted free agents also officially signed their contracts. Wide receivers Aya Asante and John Giles, defensive back Alex Johnson, offensive line Marcellus Johnson, Jake Kubas, defensive lineman Ovi Ugofo, Casey Rogers, all signed as well. All players have been given the £795,000 base salary, except Ogafo, who also got a 7,500 signing bonus, and Marcellus Johnson, who got 175,001. So if you're done in with numbers now, I am as well, to be fair. Hopefully we're not going to be talking too much more money-wise, because that's a lot that I've covered there.
It's a lot of money.
It is, yeah, and it is us sort of, scraping to get by, so to speak.
Makes you think maybe we're in the wrong jobs.
Yeah, it makes me think. I mean, there's also a little bit of a size issue as well, but it is what it is. The Giants also signed Irish kicker Jude McTamaney. Is that it? McTamaney?
Yeah.
To the same contract, and he's going to be on the exempt commissioner's permission list, as he's classified as an international player. And then finally, after rookie minicamp, which will be covered in a moment, SMU defensive lineman Elijah Chapman signed after impressing. His contract is, you got it in one, 795 grand like the previous guys. And I did find it quite interesting. I think it was I want to say it might have been the Giants Insider podcast I was listening to recently, and obviously a friend of the show, Chris Bizinano, he was present for camp, and he did say kind of Elijah Chapman did kind of stand out, had a chat with the defensive lineman, and then the defensive line coach, and then Dave's come over and sort of watched him and had a chat with him. So they was obviously quite impressed by what they saw, and that was backed up by the contract that he got. So obviously we've spoken about the majority of other players, such as the rookies, etc., over the last couple of weeks. But Dan, what are your thoughts on the Allen Robinson signing?
I was kind of pleasantly surprised, actually. Like you said, he's an experienced head in a young receiver room. He's had some great seasons in his career so far. I think was it 2015 in Jacksonville. I think he had like 1,400 yards and I think it's 13 or 14 touchdowns. I think that was his second year in the league, and then he had 2 seasons in Chicago that were over 1,000 yards as well in 2019 and 2020. So he's put out some really decent numbers. He appeared in all 17 games last season in Pittsburgh as well. So he's clearly durable. And apart from the season in 2017 that he missed because of ACL injury, he's not missed many games at all. So there's all sort of positive signs, really. So I think he's definitely got something to bring to the team. He's got something to bring to the receiver room, bit of experience, bit of knowledge to teach the youngsters. So I think it could be a sneaky good signing, really.
Jamie, what do you think of the Robinson signing?
I like it. Again, it's a household name, isn't it? Everyone knows it. You talk about, like you said, the older statesman in the room. He can give the knowledge to the likes of Wan'Dale Robinson and everyone else. he does have highlights. I feel for him in a way because he's gone from having, Mitch Trubisky and people like that as a quarterback to having Daniel Jones. So there is a bit of a thing like that. But I think the guy knows how to play ball. It's as simple as that. And listen, like you said, it's full of incentives, his contract. So it's only going to make him want to be healthy and play to get himself a bigger contract. Because otherwise, what's he doing? He's sat on the streets and he's not doing anything. So yeah, I like it. And who knows? Mr. Kafka might be able to draw up some plays for him.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Daniel Jones is a vast improvement on Mitch Trubisky. Maybe. Hey, what do you reckon, Alan Robinson? Do you like him?
Yeah, he's all right, and he like. So I just feel like the front office are trying to turn around and sort of send a message to me. They're like, you know what? I know we got rid of one Penn State guy, but we're going to try and bring a couple more in. Obviously, we drafted Theo, and now we brought in Alan Robinson. Just a quick one from Thomas Harrison. He's asked how we're doing cap-wise. Not checked, to be honest. The last I heard is that we had $6 million in cap space, but that didn't include our draft class, which was going to account for about $6 million. So
yeah, it's very tight, isn't it?
Yeah, we've not got very much to wiggle room at all. Obviously, I think we can earn some cap space. I think it's about $10.5 million restructuring Andrew Thomas, $5.5 million for Burns, similar with a Kerry Kane, a few million for restructuring Lawrence, and then obviously in regards to Darren Waller, we can save some money depending on what he decides what he wants to do, which I don't even know what Darren's doing these days, to be honest with you. It feels like he's not even thinking about it. It's like they're going to call him and go, have you decided? Oh, yeah, I've been a bit busy, to be honest with you. Can I get back to you? So, yeah, we are...
Well, he did just split up from his wife, so, he's going through some personal issues.
That's fair enough, but I just decide.
Doesn't it feel like he's waiting for the post-June, like June 1st, is it? That date there. It almost feels like he's waiting for that. We can almost cut him or what have you and have that dead cap. I think, like you said, is get on with it. Don't drag it out, because ultimately you're not on the practice field. Theo Johnson's only going to get better, and that's a guy. I'm no Penn State fan, but I love the look of him. Hey, we'll go with Bailey and Theo Johnson. It's fine. Bugger off, Darren.
You could be a Penn State fan if you want.
I was just about to say, Shane, you better do some recruitment, mate. But I agree with the whole Waller situation. I mean, he's only got 2 weeks to wait until post June 1st, so
and a good
hold
friend,
on for 2 weeks.
You're a good friend as well, good friend of the show, like you said, Justin Pugh. He actually did a sort of recap structure of different people, didn't he? And like you said, there, the key names there. Maybe we've got a reluctance at the head office level to restructure, and like certain franchises who just restructure for bloody fun, that there is a lot of room there. Maybe we're waiting, like you said, for other people, because like you said, in other positions, we do need help, but the longer you go on, you might get better deals, so to say, cheaper deals. Maybe that's what we're trying to do.
Quite possibly. Let's hope so, because, we do need some cap space. But, thanks for the question, Thomas. Thanks for the question, Thomas. Shane, what do you know about Elijah Chapman?
In all honesty, not a lot. He's a hard guy to get some tape on. I watched YouTube highlights on him earlier on. Like, I don't know what it was called, like stud defensive lineman or something like that. And I think it was like a 3-minute video, and a minute and a half was him celebrating. I was like, okay, this is a great highlight reel.
Yeah.
Go on.
His unit, sorry. So I actually looked at him earlier on before the show, and it was Talking Giants who did a little thing on him. And according to Talking Giants, they have him at 5'11", 278 pounds. He benched 32 reps. He did last year. The interesting fact, in 2023, he had 27 snaps as a fullback.
Oh,
yeah, that's what they said.
I did watch an interview with him earlier, and I said, like, where do you want to play? And he was like, I'll play where you need me, defense, offense, special teams. So, he's clearly going for it. I mean, he's a little bit undersized for the defensive tackle position at under 6 foot. Like, that's a really,
massively, yeah.
But he's a beast. I mean, 4.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, and 33 tackles, 20 which are solo in 2023. Played 60 games over 5 seasons, having 148 tackles, 98 was solo, and 33 tackles for loss. Now,
good numbers.
Jack came out with his interesting part. This is the interesting thing I found out. So he made Bruce Feldman's freak list last year. Always look at Bruce Feldman's freak list if you're interested in getting a bit of an head start on college players, because you know he usually lists players who are worth knowing. And the guy benched, I'm guessing this was for a 1 RM, 495 pounds, which is 225 kilograms.
Shit.
And
So
he
what's his
also,
body weight?
I ain't finished yet with the impressive stuff. And he also repped out 225 pounds, which is 102 kilograms, for 42 reps.
Shut up. Wow.
And he's got a nickname of Baby Bison.
Oh,
I mean, he's screaming fullback.
No,
He's
that is
screaming
not
fullback.
That or Hinge profile. Baby Bison is apparently his name. It's not a nickname that I've got for him.
Are you sure, Shay? Are you sure?
I think,
But no,
I think sleeper, couldn't he? He could be someone we look at camp and say, well, you know, well, in recent years, our defensive line has been actually quite good, isn't it? It's been, you know, with the work that the defensive line coach has done. Well, you know, is he really going to stop the run? Probably not. But on a third down, you know, with his athleticism, who knows? He could fly up and just absolutely ruin a player. And you know, it only takes one play just to make you think, oh, this guy's special. And like you said, he's got the highlight reel. He's got the traits. He just needs to be polished a little bit, doesn't he? And I think, again, for what is it? Did you say his salary was? Well, next to nothing.
795 grand.
I'm no gambling man. That's a punt and a half to take for someone who's got those stats and that tape. Why not?
I mean, for his size, because he's undersized. I mean, it would be interesting if maybe they use him at fullback a little bit. I know it's not a position that, you know, either Dable or Kafka have used much since they've been in New York, but you know, maybe just for the odd couple of snaps or a bit of a distraction, you put him in there, or maybe he even gets a freaking, you know, goal line attempt. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I ain't stopping a guy or even going to attempt to stop a guy that can bench 225 kilograms on the goal line. Like, I'll be like, here you go, mate. Are you 6 points?
Not a chance. Not a chance. I kind of like that sort of fullback role for the Giants. I think, especially now with Judas gone, obviously we've got Devin Singletary, I know, in the backfield, and obviously Tyron Tracy, and what was the guy's name? Eric Gray, that was it.
And our mate Gary. Our mate Gary.
Our mate Gary is still there. Gary is still there. Apologies. It's been a long week. I kind of like, maybe we've struggled in the run game the last couple of years, in my opinion. And I think having a fullback option there could potentially help, because we've struggled to make holes on the offensive line because the offensive line have been so poor. So maybe having that fullback there just to sort of pave the way for them is maybe a way to go. So having this Baby Bison, as Shane calls him, on the roster is only a good thing. And those stats are pretty decent numbers, and that bench pressing is extremely impressive. So be interesting to see him in camp and see him in practice, that's for sure. All right, next up we've got Giants 100, as lovely demonstrated, shown behind Jamie there, the Giants 100 logo. It was released on Monday. The first bits of information about the commemorative season that's coming up. And yes, Shane, it is the 100th season in 2024. I love that invitation.
Yeah.
On the face of it, I get you. You know, you think 1925, so 2025 would be the 100th year.
Yeah.
1925 we played season 1, so yeah, it works out. Anyway, but so this season there's going to be lots going on to commemorate the 100th season. The main part of the initial reveal on Monday was the new logo, which is, like I said, displayed behind Jamie, that will be worn as a patch on the jersey for the coming season. I think Shane's got a picture of it as well to put up. Have you got a picture of it to put up, Shane? Maybe. Putting you on the spot now. I don't know.
Have a look.
Have a look. It's coming.
No.
No. Cool. All right. We'll just go with what's behind Jamie then. It's built up of multiple different sort of nods to Giants history. The main crest is the shape of the Giants' first home, the Polo Grounds. The rest of the top is made up of the number 100. The one's inspired by the left part of the classic NY logo, and the zeros are in the exact shape of the old Giant Stadium. The banner across the middle is inspired by the classic single helmet stripe, and is on either side by a design inspired by the legacy jersey stripes as well. The bottom consists of 8 laces, symbolising the Giants' 8 NFL championships, and under that, there's a player inspired by. There you go. There's the logo. Under that is a player inspired by the classic skyline logo, holding the Duke football, honouring Giants co-owner Wellington Mara. This will, of course, be on the newest addition to the Giants jersey collection, which was revealed today, with our Century Red jersey being unveiled to commemorate the 100th season. What is a blast from the past? It features tan pants. They look kind of gold, but apparently officially they're tan. Red socks with blue and white horizontal stripes, which they're both from the inaugural season, the uniform we had in the inaugural season in 1925. And the red jersey with a larger blue strip across the chest, which is from the 1933 season, where Big Blue played in the first ever NFL championship game. And then finally, it's finished off with what can only be described as an absolutely beautiful winged helmet, which is honouring the 1938 NFL champion team. And that whole uniform will be worn in up to 2 games in 2024. So assuming it's going to be 2 games in 2024. Along with that, there's a new merch line as well. Just take my money already, because there's some stunning pieces there. There's the jersey for those that haven't seen it. I like it. I'm not too sure about the blue stripe across the middle. Controversial, maybe. What do you guys reckon? Do you like the jersey?
No, I think I said earlier on. I think for me, when you see the original images, you think, "What the hell have they done?" Like, it just feels like they've kind of crammed a lot in to almost tick boxes, if that makes sense. Just to say, well, we've identified this year, that season, so on. But then I watched the Giants video where they were doing the green screening things, and Kayvon was having fun with it. And I thought, it'll probably grow on you. I think, when you see the players, be tight fit, etc., and what have you. I think it probably will grow on it, but it's not something I could personally walk around Cardiff wearing, like the tan pants and stuff like that. I think someone would take offence to that. I think, but yeah, I don't. Maybe the blue stripe across the middle. Maybe that's the detractor for me. Maybe put it down the sides or on the shoulders. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm no design. I'm no design merchant, so.
No,
As we always say, though, it doesn't matter what they wear, we'll still support.
Absolutely. Shane, do you like it?
I quite like it, to be fair. Just because, following on from a conversation that we had in our group chat the other day, I'm a fan of retro vibe stuff. Like, I love, I've got about 5 retro England shirts. I've got about 4 retro Albion shirts. Like, retro's in these days. So I'm a bit of a fan of it. And I've seen people saying, "Oh, we should have had blue pants. We should have had black helmet." But like I said to you guys before we went on air, but then it's not a throwback. The clue is in the name. It's a throw back to something we used to wear or similar to what we wore. So if we started throwing black when we've never wore black before, then it's not really a throwback. It's something new. It's an alternate. So
exactly that.
I'm a fan. Holt, he says he's not a fan of it, but he does love the helmet. And Tony said that Jamie could make anything look good.
Oh, look at that!
Thanks,
There's a lot of love going around.
I'll have to ask the missus that one later. Don't worry.
But I think it will probably grow on me as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be buying it to add to the collection. Whose name I get on the back of it, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Will I get a name on the back, or will I get something else? I don't know. We'll see. But It will. I think it will grow. I just love the red. I was a fan of the Reds alternate jersey we had a few years back. And it was a shame to see that go. So I'm glad we do have a red jersey back, sort of 70% red anyway. So yeah, it's quite nice to have it back. Like I said, we've got that new merch line, which is absolutely stunning, and I think there's some really, really nice pieces in there. And again, I will no doubt be buying some of them as well. So my pocket's going to be a lot lighter after all this new merch that's going to be coming my way. And there's going to be a 100th season book as well. Again, take my money, featuring the logo and other events as well.
Chris has just put a comment, which I think's a really fair and valid point. He says the thing is designed in 1925, so in 2024 it probably looks uncool, which is absolutely on the money. And then this is probably even more on the money. And some of the Giants fan base are already moaning about it, but it's history, and I like it. I think that's absolutely bang on comment, to be fair.
And I think where he says about the history as well, what's important to remember is recent times we've been terrible, whereas the Giants are synonymous with a brilliant history, and that is what makes us the Giants of the game. So again, let's not forget the history and let's embrace it. And do you know what? Hey, if we're scoring 40 points a game wearing that, keep it.
True that. A shame we'll only be wearing it for 2 games.
And the thing is, even if we're losing it, well, we're freaking losing blue and white. So what's another colour to add to it? You know what I mean?
You're not wrong there. There's plenty of other things announced as well during the press release. There's a vote for the greatest player in Giants history. I think the helmet catch is well within a shout for that. You got an opinion on that, Jamie?
Yeah, Justin Tuck, number 91. Yes, he's the man for me. I loved everything, even the helmet. He was unplayable. Imagine him now playing at a prime.
You're talking of greatest player. Oh, okay. That would be a cool vote as well. But the vote is the greatest play.
Oh, helmet catch, 100%.
There you go. I think JT underrated, massively underrated. I've still got his jersey and wear it with pride as well. So there you go. Absolutely disgusting, and I can't wait to part with £100 sterling for it. Me and you both, Peter. Me and you both. I think we all probably will at some point, won't we? There's also plenty of other things going on at night with the Legends. So on June 20th, the team will host Giants 100, a night with the Legends at Madison Square Garden, of all places. There we go. The night will feature panel discussions covering team history, a preview of the 2024 season with current players and staff, artifacts from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and 100th season merchandise. And there's plenty of legends expected to participate and be there on the night as well. They then got the Giants Top 100 Players, which is a 10-part podcast series hosted by friend of the pod, Bob Papa, and featuring Giants legends. Will explore the impact the players have had on the organisation. So Justin Tuck might be in there. You never know. We've then got, which I think is ridiculously cool, we've got the 100th season theme day at Yankee Stadium for a Yankees game where there's an Eli Manning Yankees bobblehead giveaway. And Eli Manning looks great in a Yankees uniform. Who knew? Or on a bobblehead, he does anyway.
I'm guessing the Mets was unavailable that day or something.
I mean, no one likes the Mets. I mean, I say that, do. Lots of people like the Mets, but, Giants are synonymous with New York. Yankees are synonymous with New York. So they're gone with the Yankees. Classier franchise too. You've then got the Duke documentary. It's a documentary look at the life of Wellington Mara and how the Giants, how the leader of the Giants helped to transform the NFL. And there's plenty of community events going on as well. The Giants Foundation will continue its commitment to making a positive impact in the area. And they're going to pledge $1 million in donations through $100,000 grants. And then lastly, they'll also designate 3 games to celebrate the 100-year anniversary and the franchise's 8 championships. For the pre-Super Bowl championships, Frank Gifford bobblehead will be given to the first 25,000 fans. For the 2 Super Bowls in the 86 to 90 era, a Lawrence Taylor bobblehead will be distributed. And for the Super Bowl titles in 27 to 2011, a Tom Coughlin bobblehead will be handed out. So if they're designated 3 games to celebrate that, you'd think they would wear the throwback in 3 games. So why are they only wearing it in 2? Who knows? There is a lot of information that's taken, and I understand that, but what do you make of the first bits that come out, Jamie? Do you like it?
Yeah, I do. I think it's all about embracing and educating. Because for me, like I said, I don't have knowledge as much as, say, somebody who's been supporting the Giants for 60 years. But I like listening to it. I like you say, some of the podcasts you see, some of the older plays you see, and it's great. I think educating the newer fan base as such is brilliant, because people like you say, Justin Tuck and other people like that, they were the people I associated the New York Giants with, the good times. Then obviously you had OBJ's catch, etc. But yeah, definitely, I think it's great to see them as well and make New York blue. It's vastly blue, but let's keep it blue.
True that. Shane, do you like the Giants 100 stuff?
Yeah, man, I think it's pretty sick, to be fair. If the 100 years is something that's worth celebrating, and that's what they're doing, and they're not just celebrating it for one day. Like over here in England, your football team would be like, oh yeah, the club's been going 100 years, we're going to change the badge for one season, and then that's it, and there's no other mention of it at all for the rest of the season. Whereas here, they're kind of making a big deal of it, and if there's one thing that Yanks can do, it's make a big deal. So, it's good to see. I do hope they'll bring it more. And then just following on what Jamie said, it's not just about educating kind of new fans, but it's also about maybe giving a reason for some younger fans to want to support the Giants. This is an organisation that's been a losing organisation for the last, 6-7 years. You got kids watching NFL, like in the New York catchment area, that might be more interested in Kansas or Baltimore, Buffalo, especially with Buffalo being the only official New York team. But this is a way to sort of try and get younger fans on board and say, look, this is a historic football team, and you should want to support them, and these are the reasons why. And just giving a bobblehead away to a 4-6-year-old kid could be enough just to make them go, you know what, I love the Giants.
True that, very true. I mean, I kind of think they could maybe mix it up a bit and move away from a bobblehead in one of the games or 2 of the games. Maybe do sort of an exclusive little bit of throwback merch or something like that, like a throwback cap or something. But the bobbleheads always go down well. We got one when we went to the game in November, didn't we, Shane? So what did we get from the game? I can't remember where we got it, but we got a Eli Manning bobblehead anyway. So it was bobbleheads always go down well. So they're obviously popular. But yeah, I like the whole Giants 100 stuff. I think the logo looks really sharp. I think it looks really good. And I like that they've got different aspects of Giants history in the logo as well. Like the shape is the Polo Ground shape, which is really cool. And the zeros are the shape of Giant Stadium, which I like as well. And the merchandise, like I said, I'm going to be spending an absolute fortune on merch. Just because there's some really, really, really nice pieces in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing it all being worn, and especially the jersey as well in the games. I'm looking forward to seeing that being worn as well.
It's literally like that. Is it the Fry gif of Futurama where he's like, "Shut up and take my money"?
Yeah,
that is literally what all this
money. Yeah, I think I looked at every single item, and I was like, I'd buy that. I'd buy that. So yeah, it's maybe we have to we'll have to buy it and get it delivered to someone we know in America, and then get them to ship it over just to save a few pennies. All right, rookie minicamp, Shane.
Yeah, so across Friday and Saturday, the Giants held their rookie minicamp with 75 players in attendance. All 6 of our rookies were being joined by 8 undrafted free agent signings, and there were 61 tryout players consisting of college players and a small number of veterans. Most of the camp was being informative with a small amount of light work. It's kind of tough to get anything meaningful on the field, but there are a few talking points regarding non-rookies from the 2 days. So a bit of an obvious one that people probably would have seen on social media is Brian Dable's weight loss. He's dropped a bit of weight during the off season, and he's looking in much better shape. Apparently, it was part of an off season competition. Daniel Jones was discussed as well, and Dable mentioned that he was progressing still, and he's in the second stage of the off-season workout program. He noted that Rourke's signing had nothing to do with Daniel Jones' recovery either. Obviously, Adam Robinson, friends of the pod, Joint Insider, asked Dabes about the Robinson signing and was told that Robinson had a good workout. He'd been a good player in the NFL and that he wanted to be here. Aaron Robinson this time, I know some people are probably saying, who's that? Apparently he does exist. He's a cornerback that we drafted a couple of years ago. He was spotted. He remains with the rehab group at the moment. He had a torn MCL and ACL in October 2022 and has not played since. Cordell Flott, Andrew Phillips was lined up in the slot during mini-camp. The rumblings were that Flott could start opposite Banks on the outside, and Dable seemingly confirmed it when he noted there was a lot of confidence in Flott and there would be a competition in camp. And then finally, Evan Neal. Dave's mentioned that he'd ended the season on IR due to a fractured ankle and he'd been doing some things during OTAs and was on the mend. Hopefully some things wasn't maybe flipping the burgers in the kitchen for the players when they were coming for something to eat. But, Neal will likely be under the microscope this off-season. No likely about it. He definitely will be under the microscope. So there's nothing of note mentioned about Waller, who obviously we've already spoke about a little while ago. But, there's a lot of updates on injured players and potential pieces in this team. So, Jamie, what did you take away from all of that? And is there anything that in particular stands out?
I personally think Aaron Robinson should be one of the ones that we cut straight away. Is it 2 games in the last 3 years or something stupid like that? He's been one of Gettleman's flops. And, to be honest with you, listen, we cut ties with him. I know we've got probably an obligation due to injuries and stuff like that, but that's one of them. It's great to see Dave's looking healthy. If they're competing to do that, then it seems, hungry that he wants to succeed. We know that. Either that was just bloody stress, and we know what that can do. But yeah, I think there's all positive sides. I just am really, really worried about our secondary because from what I've seen of Flott and stuff like that, there are plays, but not consistent and a high enough volume to say, right, we've got that nailed on. No one's gonna, put a Hail Mary on us, for example. So yeah, I still think we've got a bit of work to do. But hey, it's only week 1, week 2. So let the guys surprise me, hopefully.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure how I feel about Cordell Flott being like a CB2 lining up outside. If Dabes if there is confidence from Dabes, then maybe it could be a good move. I don't know, but it doesn't fill me with confidence to have Cordell Flott on the outside. It's concerning for sure, and I'm in the same camp as you, Jamie. The secondary is a big concern for this season. Dabes' weight loss is incredible. He looks like a completely different man. And fair play to him. Maybe I need to take a leaf out of his book and do the same as well. I'm intrigued at what Dave's meant about doing some things during OTAs when he's talking about Evan Neal. What's he referring to, Jay? I don't know. Has he been flipping burgers? Has he been eating? Has he been rehabbing? Has he been getting any worse? Surely can't get any worse. Who knows? What's he referring to? And up until now, I'd completely forgotten that Aaron Robinson was actually still on the roster. So I've learned something new today. Aaron Robinson's still on the roster. Is it 2 games in 3 years? See that, mate?
Yeah, I think the good thing is, like you said, in regards to certain players, we haven't seen anything remotely positive. So the floor is low, but the ceiling is high. So we all want Evan Neal to do well. For goodness sake, it's not like we hate him. But when you're such a high draft pick and you've been invested in significantly, to merely put your hands on someone like that and then he just comes around and smashes your $40 million quarterback here, that's not good enough. You're meant to be a professional, and that is very amateur. So I'm wondering if maybe the offensive line coach had away with Dave and gone, right, we're moving him aside. It's do or die with him at the end of the day. And again, it's attitude, isn't it? Dave's is big on attitude, being dependable and all this. Well, Evan Neal hasn't been anywhere near dependable. So who knows what it is?
Very true. I mean, yeah, the whole smart, tough, dependable things. Evan Neal is a very, very smart guy. You can tell that from his interviews. He's obviously very academic. He's clear. He's clearly can be is a tough guy because he's an offensive lineman, for God's sake. But yeah, dependable. He's definitely not been dependable so far, and he really needs to work on that for sure. And I think he's going to be more under the microscope than probably any offensive lineman this season coming up. It is do or die for him. I think it's his third year. 7th overall pick. We've invested a lot of money in him. He needs to change it around this year. Otherwise, that 5th year option coming up in just over a year's time ain't going to be there. It ain't going to be there. So, yeah, he's got a lot to work on. And then last in the news, which was announced yesterday amongst the chaos that was schedule release and Germany game and everything else, is the Giants are going to be on freaking Hard Knocks, boys. Come on. But not as we know it. It's Hard Knocks, but not as we know it. It's going to be the first ever installment of Hard Knocks off-season, which, if you follow this podcast for any length of time, going back into previous off-seasons, oh my fucking God, is this going to be good. The Giants previously had the Giants Life sort of YouTube series where they could, I think, like 15-minute sort of videos, maybe 2 or 3 every off season, maybe 4, I don't know, can't remember. Little sort of like insight into the background, like of going into the off season, free agency, then draft prep, and then going through the draft and into the draft and past the draft. We're going to see all of that across 5 episodes, probably hour-long episodes. It's going to be epic. It's going to premiere on July the 2nd, so in just over a month's time. It is on HBO in the US, which does concern me a little bit because previously when the Colts did the in-season version of Hard Knocks, they didn't have it on Game Pass. But since then, I know they have the Dolphins one has been on there, so I'm hoping, touch wood, that it will be on Game Pass. But it's all to do with the Giants' 100th season. It's been a sort of commissioned, the first one by HBO to celebrate the Giants' 100th season, and it'll give us that inside look into what is a critical off-season period from January to July. So there's going to be like a big 6-month period that it's going to cover, and that's hopefully we'll get sort of footage of stuff that you don't see. The stuff, especially with the Giants, everything seems to be so behind closed doors, and they keep very tight-lipped about certain things. The departure of Wink, the team's free agency period, that Barkley leaving, McKinney leaving, Brian Burns trade coming in. Then you've got the draft as well, all the lead up to the draft, combine, pro days, and then draft itself, inside the war room, looking at the sort of process that saw us take neighbours at 6 and all the rest of the draft picks as well. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be, like I said, July 2nd it premieres, and then every Tuesday until the end of July there's going to be new episodes. And then there also will be the normal Hard Knocks, which is obviously training camp, which will be with another team, which will pretty much carry on in like after the off-season one. So, Jamie, what are you looking forward to most?
I think I was getting a bit anxious at you guys, and I said, where's the content? Every other side's got the content out. We're seeing, Buffalo Bills with Coleman, and everyone's lapping it up about him, and all we're seeing is Neighbours doesn't want to be here. I'm excited to see, because, like you said, it's not about necessarily the draft as such. It's about, like you said, what's happened when we've cut ties with players. Are we going to see the Saquon Barkley situation, the McKinney situation? Are we going to see a different side to Joe Shane and Dable? Are we going to see a different side to, say, Wink, if at all? It's exciting. And again, we're not normally quite open to stuff like that. So, like you said, the 100th year is massive. So it's going to be a great watch.
Shane, you're on mute.
There we go.
There it is.
I think it's Mara's way of giving something without giving anything, in all honesty. I mean, for me, it's going to be the draft content, because I think if we're completely honest, we're not going to see the interaction with Martindale. We're not going to see. We might see things in regards to Barkley and McKinney, but we're going to see the Giant side of things. Maybe not the 100% truth, because we're not going to put anything out there that's going to make us look like a shit organisation. Whereas I feel like the draft content is the stuff that will go out there, where we will actually see genuine conversations that happened and actual conversations. I mean, I don't imagine us seeing a conversation of Shane and Mara and Dave sitting down going, I ain't paying a fucking running back 15+ million a year. That was probably the conversation that was had, but they were like, you can't put that out there. And I can understand completely why. So for me, I'm probably looking forward to the draft stuff, and maybe just seeing kind of what the conversations may have been in regards to the wheels moving on the Brian Burns trade. Just seeing where it started. Was it something that was said at as early as the Senior Bowl, when you get reps from the teams there? Is it something at the combine, the GM meeting? Just sort of find out how that kind of got going potentially.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm buzzing about it. And I said in previous years we'd seen snippets of what goes on in those Giants live videos, but just having that, we always wanted more. When each one of those videos ended, we would always want more, and now we're getting more. But yeah, what are we going to get? Obviously, yeah, it's going to be showing the team in a good light, because the Giants aren't stupid. They're not going to say, yeah, you can put out everything.
Yeah,
but I can't wait for it. And I can't believe it's coming in just over a month, to be fair.
I just don't want to watch it and be like, oh, is that it?
Yeah, I don't want to be disappointed.
I just feel like that is what it's going to be. It's going to be a case of, you could have just banged this out on YouTube.
Yeah, true that. But
I mean,
I don't think...
I'm sorry if you said it. If they said how long episodes are going to be, they're like...
Well, do you think traditionally Hard Knocks episodes are around sort of between 45 minutes to an hour?
I ain't watched Hard Knocks in years.
So, yeah, I think 45 minutes minimum. So that's 5 45-minute episodes. So it's a lot of content that we're potentially going to see. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait, and I hope the our viewers and listeners can't wait as well, because it's going to be a great insight to that smart, tough, dependable culture that Dave's and Shane have tried to instill. It's going to be a great insight into what goes on inside the team that we see very, very little of. So yeah, massively looking forward to that. It's going to be a great watch. All right, on to the main event then, and it is the 2024 schedule release. We've had 24 hours to digest it. Some of us have, some of us haven't. And unlike last season, the first 6 weeks actually sees us play 3 home games and 3 road games. Last year we had 4 road games out of the first six weeks, which was tough. And this week we've got an even split of 3 and 3. 4 primetime games, 1 Thursday night, 1 Sunday night, 1 Monday night, and on Thanksgiving Day itself as well. We've got kind of nice, quite even split of games over the course of the season in terms of road and home. I think that our longest road trip is 2 weeks. We only go out west once as well, which is to the west coast once as well, which is quite nice as well. So yeah, on paper it looks like a fairly good split across all 18 weeks. So starting off week 1, 8th of September, Sunday, 1 p.m. It's not going to be a Sunday night football like it was last season, thank God, because we still can't believe we stayed up till 1 a.m. to watch that shit show. Second season in a row starting at home. It can't get any worse than last year, surely. It's the Minnesota Vikings coming to town. JJ McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings coming to town. So we get to see our first look at JJ McCarthy in the NFL. Last year it was a rough start for the Vikings. They lost 3 straight, but then a win streak of 6 games in the next 7 weeks saw them sort of recover and get on sort of like a bit of a run. However, Kirk Cousins then ruptured his Achilles in week 8, leaving them with quarterback room consisting of Josh Dobbs, Hayden Mullins, and Jared Hall, and then a run of 1 win and 6 losses in the final 7 games saw them miss the playoffs. Also, they picked up JJ McCarthy through the draft, defensive end Jonathan Greenard, linebacker Blake Cashman, Dallas Turner, and Andrew Van Ginkel as well. They did ship off Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons, which we'll come on to shortly as well because we play them this year. Daniil Hunter's gone obviously as well, and Dalton Reisner. Vikings, hopefully a nice start to the season at home. It's could have been a worse start, put it that way, I think. Do you think it's a good start, boys?
I think it is, because when you've got a new rookie quarterback coming in, it's the baptism of fire, isn't it? Don't make it easy. Don't give him these easy plays and settle in. Just go at him. Again, it's rustiness in week 1. You're not going to be perfect, are you? But yeah, I mean, it could be one or two things. It's that, as it says, JJ throwing to a certain JJ receiver. And if, like we said earlier, our secondary isn't at it, it could be a very long freaking night or evening. But I to be honest with you, I think at home, 100th year, start the season off right. I'd take us. I think we could take the Vikings.
Okay.
Excuse me, sorry. I'm going to go with it's going to be a tough game. And the only reason I'm saying it's going to be a tough game is, like James mentioned, obviously you're going up against one of the best wide receivers in the league. It's going to be not a baptism of fire, because obviously it's his second season, but Deontay Banks, he's going to have to be on it in that game. We're going to quickly find out if Deontay Banks looks like he's carrying on what he did last year and potentially kicking it up to another level or not, going up against one of the league's best wide receivers. But the reason why I say it's going to be a tough game is there's going to be no real tape on JJ McCarthy as an NFL player, and that's the key. You know, the Vikings are not going to be playing the same sort of ball that Harbour have played at Michigan with JJ. So we're and I don't, even if you see JJ in pre-season, it's going to be a couple of slants, screens, that's it, get him out the game. So, you know, that's why I think it's going to be hard, because you don't know what you're actually coming up against with JJ if he just starts as QB1.
Yeah, true that. You know, he might not even start the season off as QB1, because in Sam Darnold they've got as quarterback 1 at the moment.
I mean,
let's face it. They've
got some players. They've got some good players. I mean, Aaron Jones signed there as the running back as well. There are, like I said, it could be a very stuttery game, but hey, home turf, home advantage. You know, it's going to be rocking week 1 because we're at 0-0. It's not like you said earlier, like we're 1-6 and the atmosphere will be crap. But, you know, it'll be bouncing. Get it off to a good start and see if we can build some bloody momentum this season.
Very true. Yeah, and obviously, if JJ is starting, then you know he's coming up against a pretty fearsome defensive line that we've got. So he's definitely going to be put under pressure that game for sure. All right, then moving on, week 2, first road trip of the season, off to FedEx Field to take on the Washington Commanders. Sunday, September the 15th, again at 1 p.m. Last year, despite an ownership change and an overhaul of their coordinators, it was another lost season for Washington. Promising start with 2 wins, they would only taste victory twice more as the losses piled up, and they would lose all 6 games within the NFC East. And Ron Rivera was swiftly sacked on Black Monday. Notable signings for the Commanders: Jaden Daniels at quarterback, Jarzon Newton, the interior defensive line, Bobby Wagner, linebacker, very, very good linebacker, and Austin Eckler as well, which decent running back they picked up. And they've lost Kendall Fuller, Cameron Curl, Curtis Samuel, and Antonio Gibson. First of 2 games against Washington I think we come up against them in week 9 at home. So by the beginning of November, we would have played both games against Washington. Then starts what is probably going to be a very tricky 5 to 6 weeks. Week 3 in Cleveland. Evening, producer Craig. It would be nice to start 2-1 or 3-0. Yeah, I mean, if we were started 3-0, I'd be absolutely over the moon. But I don't. 2-1, I'd be happy with. Yeah, we won't beat the Browns. I don't think we will, but you never know. Week 3 on the road at the Dog Pound as we go to Cleveland to take on Deshaun Watson and his Cleveland Browns. It was a bit of a strange one for the Browns last season. 5 different quarterbacks, including Joe Flacco, who won Comeback Player of the Year, which was an absolute farce because he came back from nothing. On the route to leading the Browns.
You ain't letting that go, are you?
Such a rubbish winner of Comeback Player of the Year. I'm sorry. It's fucking awful. But it was, I mean, again, it was a good story, but come on, he came back from absolutely nothing. So he wasn't the Comeback Player of the Year. That's my opinion anyway.
Justin Pugh said, straight off the couch.
Exactly that. They finished 11-6, recording a trip to the playoffs. However, they were then absolutely destroyed by the Texans in wildcard week, losing 45-14. Jameis Winston is now a quarterback in Cleveland, and they've also picked up Jerry Jeudy as well, receiver who was rumored for a long time to be coming to the Giants as well. And they've also picked up Michael Hall Jr. and Zach Zinter in the draft. So they've strengthened on the defensive line and offensive line too. Cleveland's going to be a tough game, lads, don't you think?
Yeah. Again, another one that they could be very, very pass heavy, and it'll test us. It's never easy going to Cleveland. It's a very, like you said, their fans are in your face, aren't they? They're very passionate. Fair play to them, but again, I think if we, I'm excited to see our pass rush, because to have the elite talent is Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Sexy Texy. I mean, that's what makes me excited this season, is having somebody who's just going to go at the quarterbacks. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to feel the pressure.
Big time. We winning in Cleveland, Shane?
No.
So
I'm on that train.
He's on the train already. Of course he is.
No, like Chris said, their D's outstanding. Again, we want to talk about on a good matchups. Week 3, Myles Garrett against Andrew Thomas, all being well. It could be an outstanding matchups for a neutral to watch potentially. It's going to be hard. They've got good linebackers, got good DBs. Their offense is questionable. Hopefully any of our players arrive in Cleveland not needing a massage or don't need a massage mid-game. Darnay Holmes, I'm looking at you.
Getting the rub down on the sideline.
Deshaun looking out like, ooh.
Love it. Yeah, week 3 will be a tough game. I think I'll be happy with a 2-1 record through 3 weeks for sure. Anyway, moving on, week 4 sees us our first primetime game of the season, Thursday night football. So a short week into week 4, we're back at home at MetLife as the Dallas Cowboys come to town. Last season, the Cowboys had a fairly good year, finishing 12-5 in the regular season, which included putting up an incredible 89 points against the Giants across 2 games, which wasn't particularly good for us. Obviously started off the season with that 40-0 washout win in what turned to be a catalyst for our awful season. Postseason, though, they had a pretty poor start against the Packers, with Green Bay racing into a 27-0 lead, and then lo and behold, the final score of 48-32 would see yet another season ending for Dallas with no trophy at the end of it. Shame that, eh? We then come up against Dallas again on Thanksgiving in Dallas at 4:25 on the 28th of November. Split the record across the season with the Cowboys. You'd be happy?
I'd
Yeah,
love it. Go on, Shane.
No, I was going to say I'll be happy. And to be honest with you, like if I had to pick one home game and one away game that I'm looking forward to the away game in Dallas. I don't know about anyone else, but I really enjoy Thanksgiving football. Won't be the same as last Thanksgiving, unfortunately. But yeah, I really enjoy Thanksgiving football. Kind of like Thanksgiving football and Christmas football. I don't think you can beat them times a year. So it'd be good to watch the Giants on the Thursday night.
I just think that we've got to get this monkey off the back, haven't we? We've got to beat them. It's as simple as that. For whatever reason, if it's a mentality thing or what, they just have our number. And my brother-in-law loves the Cowboys, and I've got no defense against it. It's just like I almost concede it before we play them that they're going to either torch us or we're going to get shafted by a ridiculous call because Jerry upstairs has a say in something. But yeah, I'd be delighted with a split. And listen, wouldn't it be brilliant if we could beat them on our home, in our home patch and send them home with their tails between their legs?
It would be. I think, yeah, I'd love to get a result over Dallas this year. It's way, way, way overdue. And whether it's at home or it's on the road, it'd be better if it was on Thanksgiving on the road, but I'd love to get that victory at home and start off the season on a good note. All right, then moving on to week 5, where we take our, and I said only trip out west to the West Coast as we head to Seattle to take on Geno Smith and his Seattle Seahawks at Lumen Field. We don't seem to play very well out on the West Coast, especially in Seattle, so this could be another tricky one. They had a strong start to the season last year, winning 6 of the first 9 games. Then they had a 4-game losing streak caused by injuries to key players. The slide saw the team on the back foot, should I say, chasing the playoffs. And although they were able to come out of the season with a winning record, they missed out on the playoffs overall. Picked up Rayshon Jenkins, Byron Murphy, George Fant, and Christian Haynes in the draft in this offseason. But they have lost Drew Lock to a certain team called the New York Giants, which is a very notable loss for them, I will say. Seattle on the West Coast, I'm chalking that down as a loss. I can't see us going there and winning that game. When I say we always seem to struggle when we go out to Seattle, so we won't talk too much about that one. Next up, though, is a very intriguing game, Sunday Night Football. Our only appearance on Sunday Night Football in 2024. Joe Burrow and his Bengals visiting MetLife Stadium. I've got this down as potentially one of the games we wear our throwback jersey in, just because it's in prime time. But you never know. I might be wrong. But I think the Bengals are a really strong squad. Joe Burrow is a class quarterback. And barring him getting injured, which he seems to get injured quite regularly, I think they could be a really strong team. Last year saw them starting off 5-4, and then Joe Burrow then got injured in week 11, and Jake Browning sort of kept their sort of heads above water, but then they missed out on the playoffs with a 9-8 record at the end of the season. They have picked up some good names throughout this offseason, especially on the defensive line with Sheldon Rankins and also Chris Jenkins in the draft, and also Amarius Mims on the offensive line too. But they have lost one of their key weapons on offense in Joe Mixon. So they're going to be relying on Joe Burrow that a little bit more, I think. Bengals on Sunday Night Football, Les. Looking forward to that one.
Nope.
That's all you need to say. No, it's going to be a struggle, that one.
Yeah, they kept T. Higgins as well, haven't they, on the franchise tag? So it seems to be that, like you said, heavily reliant on a Joe Burrow offense, and again, could be prime time humiliation, or it could be prime time we show up in our nice uniforms.
No, I think I'm chalking this one down as a loss. I think the Bengals are too strong for us at this point in time. And if we can go through the first 6 weeks at 3-3, I'd be happy with that. If we could pick up a win against the Vikings and against the Washington, and then one of the other 4 games as well, I'd be happy with that. But it's going to be a tough ask, no doubt. And then here's one that Shane's really looking forward to. Is week 7, the return of Judas to MetLife. It's the first of 2 games against our bitter rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, comes on October the 20th. So it's either going to be a really, really good late birthday present for me, or I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed come the 20th of October. We don't need to talk about the Eagles' season last year because we know how strong they were. But they choked in the playoffs as usual. Against Baker Mayfield as well, of all people as well. So you got to love it. Could be an upset. I'd love it to be an upset, Chris. And I'm very jealous that you're going to be in New York for week 7 because that would be a very, very good game to go to. But I don't know how they seem to do it, but they seem to be able to sign really good players for really little money. And there was one player in the draft that I heard Shane and Kev talk about a lot, and that's Cooper DeJean. And lo and behold, where does he go? He goes to Philly. And obviously, we all know that Judas has gone there, along with Bryce Huff, edge rusher, decent edge rusher, Devin White, linebacker, Super Bowl winning Devin White. So they're strengthening across multiple positions. They have lost Fletcher Cox. They've lost DeAndre Swift. They've lost their linchpin in their offense in Jason Kelsey as well to retirement, and has some Reddick on the defense. So they have some big names have gone, but some equally big names have come in as well. Are we going to get one over on Philly this season, boys? We've got to, surely.
Yeah, because they haven't got Boston Scott neither, so he can't haunt us. Who's
he play for now?
I'm not too sure, but he I was delighted when they said he'd leave because I thought every time he bloody plays us, he just does something, doesn't he? But it's crazy, like you said, the manipulation of the cap, as we discussed earlier on. I hate Howie, but I also kind of feel like sometimes I wish we were like that. If that makes sense. Listen, again, I hope Steve said he's going over, please just boo all game, boo. Cheer, whatever you want to do, just chuck something at him. Just chuck something at Saquon Barkley. It's all right. Do whatever you've got to do just to piss him off a little bit. Because let's be honest, that'll be a very, very tasty atmosphere. And let's see how he responds to it. But upset, yes, please.
Looking forward to Judas coming back, Shane.
It's going to be weird, and let's face facts. I mean, it's going to be weird in pre-season when you see 26 on the field and it says Singletary. That's going to be pretty weird. Let alone seeing 26 and his name on the back of an Eagles jersey, whether that's whether it's in pre-season or whether you don't see until that come here.
Yeah, it's not going to be nice, but I would love to go to that game and just take a massive placard that just says Judas on it. Just hold that up all game, and maybe with his face on it as well. We've got to get one over on Philly this year. Surely, we were close last year, weren't we? So we've got to get a win against them this year. I think for this year to be any sort of success, we have to get a win against our divisional rivals. We have to get a win against Dallas. We have to get a win against Philadelphia. If we can get a win against each of them, I think I'll be pretty happy. All right, then on to week 8, Monday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Off to Heinz Field on Monday night. It's another tough place to go. Yeah, the Steelers haven't been what they've sort of traditionally been over the last 20 years. Obviously, no longer have Ben Roethlisberger there, but you can never write off the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're always sort of there or thereabouts. Mike Tomlin is a fantastic coach, and he's been in that position for for a long time, and he knows how to get the best out of his players. One of those players being Russell Wilson. So, it could be he could sort of have a sort of second wind and play really well in Pittsburgh, but at the same time could be just as bad as he was in Denver. Moving on to week 9, back at home against the Washington Commanders, like I said. And then week 10. That's the big one for us on this side of the pond. As announced on Good Morning Football yesterday, the Giants are coming to Germany in week 10 to take on the home team Carolina Panthers at Allianz Arena in Munich. Kickoff is scheduled for 2:30 UK, 9:30 Eastern. Now, on paper, you think, the Panthers, worst record in the league last year, 2-15. They would have had the number 1 pick had they not traded it away. And so, you think, we've got to get the win there, surely. But like you said before we come on air, Jamie, what's to say Bryce Young isn't going to have a sophomore season where he's going to succeed and he's going to, do better than anyone has expected. And it'll be our luck to come up against Carolina in Germany, expecting the win, and to come out of that with a loss. We'll batter the Panthers, no worries. I hope so, Steve. I really do. But stay tuned to future episodes regarding the Munich game, because there may be something going on. So watch this space. But you glad we're coming over to Europe again, boys?
Yeah, 100%. It'd be Burns' revenge game, I'm going to call this, because Brian Burns will want to put on a show there. Like you said, isn't no game in the NFL is going to be easy. Previous records from previous seasons, it's the tank train or whatever you want to call it. It's like you said, no game's won on paper. Bryce Young could have the game of his life. Just so happens that a lot of people do that against the Giants for whatever reason. But again, I'm excited to see what it brings. And obviously our friends over in Germany will be loving that, just as we did that a few years ago with the Cheeseheads when they came over here. But yeah, I'd fancy us with that one, if I'm honest. I think we've got, on paper, enough firepower to get over the line with that one, I think.
Definitely. Shane, Germany, up for the trip?
Potentially. We'll have to see what happens, see what we've got planned, see how the schedule's kind of how the work schedule's looking. But be the 4th time the Giants have come over here. So how they're coming over here, well, say over here, coming to Europe, I should say now. How they've come over to Europe 4 times and still not giving them a home game up is
impressive.
Interesting. They've got to give an home game up at some point.
You would think they would. Obviously the Giants are 3-0 in London. Hopefully, touch wood, we make it 4-0 in the international series games. That'd be a decent record to have. I think we're the only team that are 3-0 in London as well. So, yeah, can't wait for the Germany game in week 10. Potentially, hopefully, we're all going to be going across. But like I said, sort of keep tuned for future episodes. We'll be sort of revealing whether we're going to be going over, what sort of meetups and things like that we're going to be planning throughout the season as well. So, keep watching this channel for that. But yeah, Munich should be a great weekend, hopefully. And hopefully we come out of it with a win as well. Week 11 following that is a bye week after the trip to Germany. Week 12 then sees us at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last season, obviously, the Bucs in the playoffs beat the Eagles in the wild card round, but then they lost obviously against the resurgent Detroit Lions in the divisional round of the playoffs. It was kind of a surprising season for Tampa Bay last season, I thought. They, with Baker Mayfield especially under center, nobody really expected them to get anywhere, but they had a pretty strong year, I think, overall. They only won the division as a result of tiebreaker over the Saints as well. So they only just scraped into the playoffs, but then to get that win over the Eagles was pretty impressive. And like I said, they lost. Devin White has gone to the Eagles now. So they've lost one of their best defenders there, and Shaquille Barrett as well. Edge, he's left the team too. So they've lost a couple of good pieces on the defense there. Week 13, Thanksgiving, Turkey Day. We go to MetLife West to take on the Cowboys. The fact that, like you said earlier, Shane, Thanksgiving and football go together, go together hand in hand. And I can't wait. I always love it when the Giants play on Thanksgiving, even though recent years, so when we played on Thanksgiving, we've not fared too well. But how sweet would it be to go to Dallas and get a win on Thanksgiving? It'd be really sweet, wouldn't it? It'd be good.
I just hope I said a few years ago when Zeke started eating the turkey on Thanksgiving when he scored a touchdown. Please don't do that again this year. Please, just please not.
He's back in Dallas now, isn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, it's a strange one for me. I saw when that came out, I did think it was a bit of a strange one.
I think that this year it appears that they are in a weird position, a weird spot. I don't think their fan base are particularly happy with their draft, as they are always. But they didn't massively strengthen. Whether that's because they've got a quarterback on ridiculously high contract, I'm not too sure. But it is what it is. You play the hand you get. Again, who knows? Thanksgiving is a special occasion, and we could go there and upset the apple cart.
It'd be good to come out the bye, going into the bye with a win and coming out the bye with 2 wins, which is potentially achievable there. Week 14 against the Saints. We didn't do particularly well against New Orleans last year when we were in Dublin, so hopefully we don't have a repeat of that result. Third consecutive season last year without a playoff appearance for the Saints, but they improved on their record from the previous year. They have picked up a few big names this offseason, Chase Young most notably as well, and one of the guys in the draft that's probably got the best name, one of the best names in the draft, in Kool-Aid McKinstry. Just a fantastic Kool-Aid as well. Who would name the child Kool-Aid? Come on. That's got to be a nickname, surely. It is a nickname. Okay, cool. I was going to say, surely it's not his actual name. But they obviously Michael Thomas, their veteran wide receiver, has moved on. And Jameis Winston as well has left the team. So Saints is all again. Against the Saints is always quite tricky. We always sort of seem to stumble against them. So hopefully we can come out of that with a win, especially at home as well. Ravens then up next in week 15 again at home. So we've got two games in a row at home there, which is a nice little stand. Again, the Ravens I think they've had their strongest year last year than they have done in a while, but they obviously lost in the Super Bowl. No, lost in the AFC Championship game. Sorry, to who did they play in the AFC Championship game? Kansas City won it. There we go. And yeah, I think the Ravens can be quite strong again this year. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, and they've also picked up Derrick Henry as well. And we all know how good Derrick Henry is. They have lost on defense to Jadeveon Clowney. I'll get there eventually. Who seemed to play particularly well for them last year, I thought. And I think Baltimore is a really tough ask. The AFC North, obviously, the division itself is notoriously strong, especially recently. And obviously, having to play all 4 of those teams this year, it's going to definitely be a tough ask to get a win against any of them for sure. Ravens coming to town. Do you like that one, boys?
Nah, not for me. I just think, like you said, Derrick Henry is brilliant. If he gets some sort of traction, you've got the dual threat with Lamar Jackson, a healthy Mark Andrews. It's they've got so many good pieces on their offense. It's NFL football, isn't it? And towards the latter part of the season, anything could be happening.
Shane, are you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to follow this with the Bengals game.
Big fat no.
Massive.
Yeah, I think we'll do well to get a result out of, like I said, any one of the 4 AFC North teams. I think their division is one of the strongest in the league, and I think it will be a tough ask to get a result in any one of those 4 games. I think Pittsburgh probably will give us the best chance to get a result, but even still, that's prime time in Pittsburgh, so that's not going to be an easy task either. Going forward into sort of the last few weeks, we go on the road to Atlanta off the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Is it going to be Kirk Cousins? Is it going to be Michael Penix Jr.? Who knows? By that stage of the season, it might be Michael Penix because the Atlanta Falcons might be on the cusp of a losing season. Arthur Smith obviously got fired at the end of the last season, and the Falcons were pretty poor overall. They did pick up Kirk Cousins, and the guy who's, again, his name I think is brilliant, Rook Aroro, during the draft. So they picked up a couple of decent players there. Johnny Smith, Cordell Patterson, Bud Dupree, and Calais Campbell, all notable players that they've lost during this offseason, though. Atlanta on the road, never an easy place to go, but I think we should get the win there. Touch wood. And then comes to the final 2 weeks, but either side of New Year. Neither games have confirmed dates yet, but Week 17 sees the final game at MetLife of the 100th season as the Indianapolis Colts come to town. There was relatively low expectations of them last season, but Anthony Richardson, I thought, showed a lot of promise in the first 4 games, but then obviously went down injured and didn't see the field again for the rest of the year. Gardner Minshew comes in, and again he impresses, and the Colts actually go to the playoffs. Did they go to the playoffs? No, they didn't. They missed out on the playoffs, didn't they? But they were very, very close. It went down to the wire in the last week of the season. So I think if Anthony Richardson's back, there could be a little bit of a dark horse because he's a very, very good quarterback. And then lastly, we finished on the road at the Link for the second year in a row. We ran out the season against the Eagles. Again, date is to be confirmed for that one, but it'd be nice to round out the season with a win on the road in Philly. But that, again, is going to be a tough ask, and probably as well they're going to be in the mix for a playoff place. And will it be winning in for them? Are they going to need to go all out and get the win, or are they going to sewn up a spot already in the postseason and rest the starters? Who knows? It's obviously 6 months away, 7 months away, and we will find out as the season goes on. Any games really stand out for you lads throughout the season?
Oh, God, I think for me, I picked 2. I think it was the Dallas home game. I just think that is, the first of it, the sort of big game for me, and obviously the Munich one, just simply because the big blues coming across the pond. So I think they were the 2. But if I had to say the tastiest, I think it's got to be Snake One, as we call him, coming to MetLife. I think that's got a recipe for being such a brilliant premiere event.
Yeah, I think that's going to be marked on everyone's calendar, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, like I said, I'll go with 1 on, 1 away. The away one is I'll go with the Vikings, the Cowboys, because it's Thanksgiving football. The home one, I'm going to go with the Vikings one. It's a way to get off to a good start against a QB, potential QB. It's going to be a rookie, but also it's an opportunity for us to see some of our new signings. It's the first chance to see Brian Burns play meaningful football, seeing how Thibodeau gets on with. Thibodeau and Sexy get on with having someone like Brian Burns next to him, seeing Deontay Banks his second year, seeing what Malik Neighbours can do, hopefully seeing Tyler Nubin as well. So for me, I'm going to go for week 1 just because at the end of the day, it's week 1 for everybody. Everyone's starting 0-0. You've got optimism. You're looking forward to seeing rookies, new signings, what changes have been made. Obviously, we get to see our new defensive scheme as well. So for that reason, I'll go for week 1.
Yeah, I like week 1. It's a relatively, I'm not going to say easy. It's a relatively sort of good start to the season. We're not
it's a
coming up
start.
Exactly. We're not coming up against a team that we don't have a chance of beating. We're not coming up against a Philadelphia Eagles team at full strength in week 1. So yeah, it's definitely winnable. those first two games, it's quite a kind start to the season, I think. Then comes that sort of stretch of 5-6 games, weeks 3 to 8, which is going to be very, very difficult. If we can come out of that period of the season at 4-4, I'll be very happy. Be very happy. And then obviously is the running then to the bye with Washington and the game in Germany. But I think for me the game that does stand out is obviously the Germany game, just because it's over here in Europe, and it gives us a chance to see the Giants closer to home than we're used to. But also I think for me, it's those divisional games. I look forward to the divisional games as much as I despise them as well, because we've not had much success recently. The Washington games are always good because we seem to have Washington's number recently, and it's been quite nice to get the wins over them over the last couple of years. I would just love to get out of this season a win over Dallas and a win over the Eagles. That's what I'm hopeful for. Even if we don't have any playoff football at the end of the season, if we can come out of it with a win over our divisional rivals, I'll be a happy man. It's probably too early to do predictions for the season, but as you're a guest on this evening, Jamie, I'm going to ask you for a season prediction. What's your record prediction?
Oh, now you've put me on the spot. I've got a losing season. I just think that the schedules, especially like you say when we're playing on the AFC, how many wins are we going to get? 5, 6, maybe. I don't know. I don't know is my honest answer because I can't think. But I'd say if I'm being optimistic, and that is me, maybe let's say 7 wins, the rest losses. I don't really know, to be honest. Just see some, like you said, some sort of glass half full. If we can beat the Eagles and the Cowboys, at least I can stick 2 fingers up somewhere, going like that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And have some sort of pride. But yeah, I think negative season for me, unfortunately. Max 7 wins,
which will be progress on last year. So it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world. Would it be the end of Daniel Jones? Who knows? Maybe. Shane's got his fingers crossed.
Don't worry, Jamie. I'll get your ticket for the tank train in the post here.
Do you know what? To be fair, I think exactly. I hold back and I think to myself, probably we get to around week 10. I'm thinking already. I'm watching the college football. I'm watching them going, right, which prospect will we get the top 10? And I'm like, I'm on that train. I'm getting off the next stop, but I'm getting straight back on it. And I think, you know what? It can't. I think maybe we're used to it, Shane. I don't know.
Yeah, you're on the train. Apart from them 3 hours, you just jump off quickly, do a little bit of shopping, see how the Giants are getting on. 3 hours is up, game ends. I'm going to get back on the train.
I've just got to go and get. I've just got to go and get 2 more pints, and then I'll be back.
That's it.
Just on the subject of predictions. So we've had the listeners and watchers, I should say, that have tuned in tonight have been putting some up. So Tony says he may be massively biased Homer, but he's looking at our schedule and he sees at least 9 wins.
Tony, that's optimistic, my friend. I like your thinking.
So Tony's took Kev's role for tonight, it seems.
Ever the optimist. I love it.
Kieran's struggling to see more than 6 or 7 wins from this. Kieran, your tank,
similar sort of thing to you, Jamie.
Yeah. James just gone for the opening 9 games. He's got dub, LL, dub, LL, dub.
So that's 5 and 4 over 9 games.
Yeah,
I will take that. Steve's
also on the tank train in May, sealing his 6, maybe 7 wins. And then,
I mean, is 7 wins really tanking though?
But maybe 7, and that's at the top. Like if 7's at the top,
maybe.
But and then the last one was James. He's going 8 to 9.
I think someone
is that 8 to 9 wins, or is that an 8 and 9 record?
Oh, shout!
No idea. Steve, just trust me on tank train, mate. It's okay. Plenty of room.
We've got to get a T-shirt for you, Shane, with your head as the Thomas the Tank sort of thing. Come and join my tank train. Honestly, that'd be brilliant.
Get him in the Fat Controller's uniform, like
8 and 9 is the record for James.
There you go. 8 and 9. I would. You know what? I would take 8 and 9 It's a respectable record. We'd probably just miss out on player football, but it'd be a respectable record for sure. Yeah, obviously the AFC North like I said, is a tough division to come up against, and we'll struggle to get a win in any of those games. But on the flip side of that, we play the NFC South as well, which is, for a little while has been a poor division. Obviously, the Buccaneers had a bit of success last year, but having the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints as well, the Saints are sort of there or thereabouts. I think if we could get 3 wins in those 4 games, we could be onto something more positive. But we said, I think you said about it, Jamie, before we come on air, or maybe just after we came on, we got is it the 6th strongest schedule in the league this year?
Yeah, it's tough. But again, I think for me, I look at it and say, we've been, especially offensively, we've been so poor to watch. I just want to see progress. I want to see some exciting football, a few Hail Marys, a few deep shots to see what we've actually got. Because I'm fed up each year going, only if one Dale showed us this, or have we really seen what Jalen Hyatt can do? Let's bloody see it for once. If we lose games, but we've got some good highlights and we can, really enjoy it, then so be it. But yeah, it's going to be a tough season, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think if we lost each game, like 35-32 or something like that, where we've actually put points on the board and actually made it entertaining, then I wouldn't be too annoyed. But the fact that we can't seem to score many points at all is what gets you down as a Giants fan. Especially last season, it was a shit show. There's, I think we did we score 30 points in a game last season? I can't remember off the top of my head now, but it's been poor for too long, and we need something to change. Obviously, the anomaly was 2022, where we did actually get into the playoffs and did actually record a playoff win. But it's definitely been poor for far too long, and hopefully 2024 can be the start of something more positive, and hopefully we do see that progress that we all desperately want to see, and we see that progress in Daniel Jones, we see that progress in Evan Neal, we see those the guys coming into their sophomore season, their 3rd season, progressing and becoming better players as well. So there's a lot of hope for the season, but hopefully that hope doesn't get wiped out too soon. There you go. That's the 2024 season. That's the schedule. I said on paper it looks, fairly sort of even in terms of like split of the road and home games. Obviously, we've got the game in Germany to look forward to. We've got the game on Thanksgiving to look forward to. We've got some primetime games thrown in there as well. And there's plenty, especially for us UK fans and us European fans, there's plenty of 6 p.m. kickoffs, which is always nice on a Sunday evening to sit down after your roast to watch the football. So looking forward to this year. For my sins, I don't know if Shane's already on the tank train, so I don't know if he's looking forward to the season too much, but I'm sure he is. We all look forward to Giants football.
April for the draft.
There you go. He's already looking forward to. He's already looking forward to next year. He's already been mock drafting for next year already. So
the sad truth is I actually have. Like that is
exactly.
I actually have done a New York Giants mock draft. I did it the day after the draft.
Yes, he did. He's not lying, people. He's not lying.
And yes, I did beat Rain one. Not going to beat Rain the Bush.
But that's the sad reality of being a Giants fan, is that we almost write off the season before it's even started, and before it's before the schedule's released, we write off the season already. So that is the sad reality sometimes of being a big blue fan. Unfortunately, that is all we do have time for this evening, though. Craig and the boys will be back on Tuesday next week. I'm busy working, so I won't be able to make it, unfortunately. It's our first state of play roster breakdown, focusing on quarterbacks. I'm sure there's going to be plenty to talk about with quarterbacks and running backs in the 90-man squad. Anything else to add before we go, guys?
That's been good chatting. Obviously, a lot of news to cover, and obviously with the schedule release as well. And once again, massive thanks to Jamie for joining us today. It's always good hearing a listener's perspective on things as well. So thanks for jumping in last minute as well. To be fair to you, so massive thanks for that.
It's all right. That's no problem. Again, it's great to see. Again, we are a big community, and like you said, it's great to talk because again, football is a massive community and it's always growing. And if you're giant for one game, or you'll be a giant for life.
You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. It's always good to talk football. It's always good to get that sort of, vent your frustration, vent your anger, and because that's what it brings us to most of the time. But it is always good to talk football. It's always good to hear different people's opinions, and especially with having the viewers and the listeners tuning in as well, getting their thoughts and opinions is always a good platform to come onto. And we do it for the love of it, and we do it because we love talking Giants football. Massive thanks to you, mate, for stepping in last minute. It's a pleasure having you on again, and hopefully we get you back on soon at some point. As I said at the top, you can check out all our social platforms by following the links in the description. Give this episode a like and a share on your platform of choice. My thanks, as ever, do go to Shane and to Jamie for joining me, to you, the viewers and listeners, for tuning in. We're signing off. Until next time, let's go Giants.